Hey Vibers, it's Kai, and welcome to Season 3, Episode 4 of the Vibe with Kai podcast. Today, I am sitting with the wonderful, incredible Olivia Mcbride. So excited to be sitting with her. We're gonna be talking because I've always wanted to sit and talk with her. Before we get things started, be sure to follow me on your favorite social media platforms at The Vibe with Kai, or visit my official website at thevibewithkai.com, where I'm always posting things that'll help you do good, feel good, be good, and live a good life full of good vibes. My guest today is my good friend Olivia Mcbride, known on TikTok as Beast Mode Barbie. I've been friends with Olivia on TikTok for quite some time, well over a year now, and she quickly became one of my favorite people to follow on TikTok. She is an Army veteran. She is a national physique competitor. She is an amazing combination of sweet and funny and inspiring and dedicated. And I'm happy to have her here today. Olivia, hi, how are you?
I'm good. How are you? This
I'm
is
doing well.
only taken us a year and a half to do. No, I'm just
I
kidding.
know, I know. It's funny because like I was saying to you before we started recording that I've been following you for quite some time, and our conversations have never been more than just like either commenting on each other's things or shooting each other like a message or something real quick.
Yep.
But we've never had a conversation, so now the world gets to witness us having
Our
our very
first,
first conversation. Am I living up to every expectation that you had?
yes, because I've been following you. I think you were one of the first people that I followed
No
on
way.
TikTok. Yes, and then every single time I go on TikTok, it's every other video is you, and I'm like, yes.
That's such wait, really? Is every other video is me? I'm
Like
so
it's like
sorry.
every other or every two video is you, and it's just like dating when you're 30. Facts, bro. Facts.
I am so sorry that I have taken over your feed. I apologize
It,
for all of that.
I love it. It's awesome. I love it.
Well, let's talk about TikTok for a little bit. So you are now you're up to I believe like 121,000 followers on TikTok. What is it like to know that you have 121,000 people that just follow you, that are interested in what you have to say and what you present out there? What is that like for you?
Well, my first viral video is literally 5 to 6 seconds long. Like it went viral within 12 hours. Like it already hit a million views. I was like, whoa. And then when I started seeing my followers go up, I'm like, what's going on? I was thrown back because I was like, I'm not used to this. Like this is crazy. And then like when I hit 100 and I actually made a poll. I was like, if I hit 20,000, I'll crush a watermelon with my legs, which I have yet to do because I hit 20,000 and watermelons weren't in season yet. Um, so
I
I
need to
still
do
have
that. Maybe when I hit 500,000, I'll have you crush a watermelon for me because I can't do
I
that.
might
I'm a weakling.
I need to make it again and be like, let's do like 200 and we'll do it. No, but it's crazy because when I hit 100,000, I was like, what? There's 100,000 of you that like me? What's going on?
It's a weird
I was,
feeling, isn't it? It's a weird
it
feeling
was.
because like when I got on TikTok, I wasn't ever expecting people to like even have like a remote interest in anything that I was doing or saying. And like just like you, when I saw the numbers go up, and I'm like, wait, people are interested in this. You do realize I'm being an absolute fool, right? And you're interested in this, and
Yeah.
people followed.
It's crazy.
It's
I
really,
know. A lot
really
of
weird.
mine are like, I have the onesie, twosie thirst traps that I just toss in there every once in a while just to keep it interesting. And then the rest of them are just me being me and as a goober. And I'm like, y'all like me? It's so weird.
What is it? What kind of like we're gonna toss the any kind of creepy men aside. I want to toss them aside and focus solely on like the because I'm pretty sure there's creepy men all over the place that are just like, hey, what's going on?
Yeah, yeah.
Right? So I can only imagine that. So we won't even get into that. But in regards to the people that follow you, that are supportive and loving and caring and for everything that you do, what role do those people play in just your overall life and just your mental capacity?
I have run into, and that's a big thing with TikTok and even Instagram. I never really thought um what I do would impact and inspire so many people. And that's like one of my biggest things. I want to help people grow in life. Like I want people to help me grow. I want to watch other people grow. And I love it when people succeed. So when I get comments from other women or even guys on my TikToks, I'm like, this video really helped me today. Or I get a message say, hey, I was having a down day. I opened TikTok and your video was the first one that popped up. It was one of like the best friends one that I did. And they're like, it just made my day and it just made me smile. And it's those things that make me feel good in the inside. Cause I'm like, man, I was having a rough day when I made that, but nobody knew. And then seeing that I made somebody else better made me feel good. And that's what I want out of these platforms. I want people to know that hey, it's okay to feel the way you're feeling. It's okay to see the things you see in yourself. Like this is like we're all normal people. We're human. We're not perfect. And so when I see those things, or like when I see, other women who are like, I aspire to be like you, like I've gotten within the last couple months, ever since I was prepping for my national show, which I kind of took a break from social media just to really focus on it. I got a ton of messages and comments on my video from women like, "Hey, I started hitting the gym. I lost this much weight. I'm doing this. I already started hitting weights. Like I was intimidated by the weights, but ever since I watched you and seeing what you do, and that you're like you have no shame in your game and you're going for it, it made me do it. And like those things make me feel good because I want that's what I want. Like I hear all the time, like from some women, they're like, I don't want to touch the weights or weights are intimidating. Yes, they are intimidating. Trust me. I had to start somewhere. They were hard for me to do too. And I was like, well, I'm going to have to do it. Like, I probably look like a loser, but I'm doing something. And that's okay. Because to me, if I see you in the gym, um, I'm not there to like be like, girl, you're doing it wrong. If you're doing it wrong, I'm gonna try and help you so you can
Right,
get it right so you don't
especially
injure
if
yourself.
if you might get hurt, like, if you see somebody that
Right.
might injure themselves and you're like, "Hey, I just so you know," kinda thing, yeah.
Yeah. And I do that. But to me, I'm like, I go to the gym, I in my zone. But if I see you in there and you're killing it and you're getting it, I'm like, because I know, like, I mean, I lifted in high school, but I know how hard it is to get started and how hard it is to continue. So even now, like being a competitor, do I struggle? You best believe I struggle a lot. I have days where I get up and I'm like, I don't want to work out. Like, I just don't want to go to the gym. And guess what I do? I still go to the gym.
Yeah,
And then
yeah,
sometimes on days where I'm like, I want to go, but I'm really exhausted and my body is just not for it, I just won't go. And it's, I struggle. I
right,
still struggle.
right.
But
It's fun, and I think that's a perfect way to kind of segue into what you do on a yearly basis. So you are a national physique competitor, but I don't want you to undersell yourself here because you are critically acclaimed. You've already won some awards, and you're kind of climbing up these rankings here. And I believe that you were saying to me earlier that you're trying to become your goal is to become like a professional in this regard, which is not easy to do, but you're going for it and you're working hard and you've already gained so much traction. So I kind of want to start at the top here. How did you get in? Well, I guess, well, first and foremost, can you explain to people that don't know what exactly it is that you do, what it is that you do, and how you got into it in the first place?
so, hi, Brad. You gonna say hi?
Oh, look at you.
Um, she likes a lot of attention. Anyway, so it's kind of a very funny story on how I got into it. So I have been training. So like I said, I lifted in high school. And then I joined the military and I quit. And then Jan, yes, I am a New Year's resolutioner, y'all. January 1st of 2015, I was like, I'm done. I had a really rough relationship and I was like, I can't live the way I didn't like my mental state and I didn't feel good. And I was like, I want to make a change for myself. So I started going to the gym. Started off with cardio, eventually started hitting the weights the way I used to learn, I remember from school. And then I continued just doing my thing and lifting and having fun and just continued going. And then about about 2 to 3 months into lifting, that's when I met my current boyfriend, in the gym,
Mhm.
mind you, and I'll tell you that story. It was very like, when people are like, "How'd y'all meet?" He's like, "Ask her." And I'm like, "Yeah." I'll tell you how that went too. It's kind of funny. So anyway, we met and he was like, "Hey, let's train together one day." And I was like, "All right," because like I said, I was just starting, so I'm not perfect. I'm still not perfect. So we started training together, and at first he thought that I wasn't gonna like really push myself as hard because sometimes some people don't. And he was like, "Wow, like you got some good potential. Like let's keep training." So we continued going, and then we started dating. Um, and then people have asked me in the gym like, "Hey, do you compete? Do you compete?" And I was like, "What are you talking about? What?" I was so confused. It's like, "What are you talking about?" And they're like, "Do you compete in like shows and stuff?" And I was like, "No, what?" So lost. So then I actually met a competitor here in Colorado. And I talked to her about it. I was like, because I noticed that like her body would change certain ways, like it would be one way, and then it would change. And I'm just like, man, like she looks really good. I would like to have a conversation with her. So I did, and I was like, "So what do you do?" And she's like, "I compete." And I was like, "Oh, finally, somebody answered my question." So I asked her, and then she kind of got into it and stuff. So I watched some YouTube videos, and I was like, I don't like that. I'm not a fan. I don't know. It was just like I was into the whole. I was good to be muscular and fit and strong, but to bring myself to that level, I was kind of like, it wasn't my thing. I just didn't feel like it was my thing. So fast forward a couple years of training, I was at my phone carrier store buying a new cell phone, and on the back of my screensaver at the time was actually a picture of me flexing, and it was my back, and the guy happened to see it. He's like, "Hey, do you compete?" Me now knowing what it is, I was like, "No, I don't. That was just a picture that I took." He's like, "Well, you should because you look really good." And I was like, I don't know. He's like, "Well, look," and he gave me my Texas coach's card. So anybody who's in Texas, strong supplements and nutrition, that's who you need to go see. Bride, go place. Um, and so he gave me his card, and I was like, "All right, I'll call this guy,
Was the
whatever."
was the phone guy? Was he a person that does that? He just happened to have this card on him.
I think he knew him from his because my coach owns a nutrition or my I have two coaches.
Yeah.
My coach in Texas owns a nutrition store. So I think it was kind of one of those things where he got the card from the store and then knows that,
Right. Right.
Louis
Right.
does all this stuff.
Sure. Sure.
I call him Uncle Louis because he's literally like they are my family
Yeah.
now.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, so he's like, "Well, go if you're interested, go talk to this guy." And I was like,
Mhm.
"All right." Weird to happen. Like, it's so weird. So I was like, all right. So I went home, talked to my boyfriend about it, and he's like, "Oh my gosh, that was the guy I've been looking for since we moved to Texas." And I was like, "Oh, okay." So we went and we chatted with him, and Louis was like, and I was like, "Hey, I just want to get on a good diet. I want to learn how to eat." Because at the time I was eating, but I really wasn't eating. Um, so I was like, "I just want to get on a good diet and to see where it goes." And he's like, "Okay." So they did that. 2 weeks, like probably not even 2 weeks into the diet, I was dropping like quickly. My body was leaning out super fast. And so he was like, "Hey, there's a show in 6 weeks. You can be ready for it. Do you want to try it?" And I was like, "F it. All right." So I did. I finally did it. Um, and that's when I fell in love right then and there
It's like
was
as soon as you like realize what it entailed and what can come with it and the uh I guess the passion that goes behind it, you just knew right in that moment that this is something that you enjoyed and you wanted to pursue further.
yeah. Like so it got up to so my first show I think was the hardest, just
Mhm.
because it was something new and like I was never a sweets person, even though I'm a baker.
Mm.
I have my degree in baking.
Do you
Um,
really?
I I do. So we'll share a little secret at the end of the podcast about that
Ooh,
though.
I'm a big
So
fan of secrets. Okay, let's do it. I'm in.
so I was never really a sweets person. I think it's because I did it throughout the army all the time, and I was doing retirement cakes and all the big things. And I just never really liked them until after I competed, and like right before I was going to get on stage, I was like, man, I want donuts, I want candy, I want chocolate, I want all these things.
I was gonna ask you, like, one of the questions I had, because I know in regards to prepping for these events, like, you're on a very incredibly strict diet. And I was gonna ask you, what is the first thing after a competition that you just want to go grab? Like, if you had your choice, you're like, I'm gonna eat this right now because I couldn't have it during this prep period. I'm gonna eat this right now. What would that thing be?
I'm gonna show you instead of telling you,
Ooh.
because if I show you, then you'll laugh. Pizza.
Oh, yeah. It's not pineapple pizza though, right?
No, this one's pepperoni, but
Okay,
I do like
pepperoni's
pineapple
good.
pizza.
Do you like pineapple pizza?
I love pineapple pizza.
Well, that's all the time we have today, folks. Thank you so much for stopping by.
Hey, it's okay. We can still be
You
friends.
you have a pizza tattoo. That is a vibe, and I'm all about it. That is amazing.
I do, and I have my friend has the missing slice, so she's the missing slice to my pie.
That is amazing.
Yeah.
You have really, really cool tattoos. Meanwhile, I have the American Idiot heart grenade on my arm. I have a Green Day. There's no really huge significance other than the fact that I love Green Day.
That's awesome. That's still awesome, though. It's something that you love.
It is. It's true. It's something I love. So you finally you got a taste of this competition, and you were like, wow, this is something that I want to pursue. And so at that point, is that when you say, okay, I want to try to work myself up into the professional ranks? Was it at that point that you decided that you're going to pursue that even further?
It wasn't the first one. So my first show, I competed at Phil Heath's show in Texas,
Mhm.
which is when I got to meet Phil Heath, and which is pretty cool. Like the first time I met him, I was like, oh my gosh, like freaked out fangirling, and then now I'm just like, hey, what's up, Phil Heath? Because I've met him so many times already, so I'm just like, what's up? But no, he's awesome. But no, it probably was my third show, where I was like, you know what, I kind of want to take this to the pro level, because I'm so into it, and I love it. The thrill, the watching how your body can change so drastically, and like, it's just like our bodies are built as machines. That's how I put it. So watching how our bodies can change and how you can eat so much food but get lean is like, people are like, don't eat carbs. And I'm like, all my food meals are carbs. They're honey. I don't skip
Well,
meal.
yeah, I was gonna ask if there's any, like, I guess, misconceptions that people have about this that you wish you could, like, dispel, I guess, because I would have thought the same thing, honestly, that, like people that do this, can't eat pizza. They can't eat a pepperoni pizza or anything like that. But you can. But you just, I guess, it's, what does it ultimately come down to, and what are some common misconceptions that people have about your industry?
So the first one that I always touch base on, I was always the person, I was like, oh, don't eat anything after 8 o'clock at night. Lies. Not true. False. Don't do it. Actually, you can do it. So like the whole not eating after a certain time at night. Do you know when my last meal is? My last meal is usually at 11:30, and I told you I don't miss a meal. So I always eat right before I go to bed. Even when I'm not prepping for a show, I still eat right before I go to bed. Because it also helps in midnight snacking. Like if you ever wake up hungry. I mean, I'm lazy. If I wake up hungry, I am just like, nope, we're not eating, and then go back to bed. Like it's not happening.
You're a lot
Um,
stronger person than me, but physically and mentally.
sleep is more important than food to
Yes,
me.
that is true.
But that's the biggest misconception I hear all the time. A second one that I like is so main is salt. So right, she's just gonna scratch. But people are like, oh, I cut salt from my diet. No, 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 no. Do not cut salt from your diet. Too much salt is bad. Too little salt is bad. So when people are like, "Well, I only use there's that seasoning that doesn't have that sodium free." I only use that seasoning. And I'm like, no, salt your food. The best salt to use is the Himalayan sea salt, the pink sea salt. That's the only salt I ever use. I hate table salt. I only use sea salt. If it's not Himalayan, I'll use sea salt. And sometimes I bring my own salt to restaurants. That's
You do.
just how
Hey,
weird I am.
listen, I don't think that's a bad idea at all. I don't think that's a
I
bad
do.
idea at all.
I mean, I sometimes I'll bring my own hot sauce. I'll just be like, I have it in my purse and bring my salt and hot
You know what? You're not alone with that. You're not alone in that. Not at all.
sauce. Good. People look at me like I'm crazy, and I'm like,
I don't know why.
um,
I feel like that's a pretty common thing. I feel
okay,
like
good.
that's a pretty common thing that people do. Like people will bring their own hot sauce, especially if the hot sauce at that restaurant is not known for having like a good kick to it. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
oh
Like
yes.
sometimes you want like something with a little bit more of a kick to it. So it's interesting that you say, like these things that people shouldn't eat after a certain amount of time or a certain time of day, and then the salt side of things. When did you realize that was a misconception? Did you like, well, I guess when you were training, is that when you realized it, or it's just from your personal experience? You're just like, oh, I can do this. You don't need to
Um,
stop eating after 8 o'clock.
through training.
Hmm.
Yep, I was all up until I started training is when because my coach is like, nope, you need to salt your food. Because I was one of those people. Like I said, these questions that people ask me, I've been there, I've done it, I've seen it. So, and salt, you need that in your body. You need the sodium, especially when you're a weight trainer, the weightlifter like I am. Um, so that yeah, I learned during training, and then the whole eating thing. My coach is like, if you're up late, eat this meal. And sometimes I wouldn't make my sixth meal. I'm like, no, I'm really tired. I kind of want to go to sleep, and I won't eat my sixth meal. But majority of the time I'll eat it, and it's always late.
So
So
can you walk me through what are some, like, say this is a random Tuesday. What is like your meals for the day, starting from the morning up until when you go to bed?
So right now, um, my current coach here in Colorado, I do oatmeal, egg whites, and blueberries in the morning with sugar-free syrup. Don't knock it till you try it. People are always the sugar-free is gross, and I was like, no, I can't eat regular stuff anymore because I can't
Yeah,
taste like this sweet. It's just too sweet.
sure.
Even ketchup, I can't even do ketchup because it's like
Really?
taste the sugar in it. I'm
Oh,
just
that
like,
makes sense. I got you. I got you.
yeah. And then I do chicken, or my next meal is like protein and almond butter. And then I do chicken and veggies, and then chicken and potatoes right before I go work out. So I got the good carbs, energies to go work out. And then after is white rice and chicken with veggies. And then my last meal is protein and almond butter.
And how often do you spread those meals out throughout the day?
I used to be very strict on every 2.5 to 3 hours just because it keeps your metabolism running.
Hmm.
Because that's another misconception. Not eating is bad because your body goes into starvation. So then it starts storing fat instead of burning fat. And it will actually attack your muscles first before it attacks the fat.
That's probably, I'll be honest, that's probably my biggest problem is that, like, this is really weird, but I could not eat. And I've been working on that. And my girlfriend yells at me all the time for this because I sometimes I just won't eat. I just won't. And she's like, you need to eat something. I'm like, I know, but
I
I
know.
but I need to eat because you're right. Like the body just reacts in a certain way that is not good for my productivity in the long run.
Yeah. And I mean, some people like you're not the first person I met, and like for people for you in that instance, I think that um I don't like to talk about this one too much. Intermittent fasting. I have a friend who used to do it, and because he had the same issue. He's like he wouldn't eat. So he would do is he would like eat a good breakfast, and then he would eat like a decent meal at the end of the day just to like make sure he's still eating, but he's still getting his calories and good food throughout the day. And then eventually he'll start eating more and more as his body got used to it. So that's something to start with. Um, I don't like to get into intermittent fasting just because I tried it once. I made it to 4 hours and I almost killed somebody.
No.
I was like, I was so angry, so mad, and it was over something so silly. And I was like, "Yeah, I can't. I give it power to people who can do it because
Yeah.
I can't do it."
No, and I'm not ready to bail you out of jail, Olivia. I'm
Yes,
not ready.
I'm not ready for that either.
What would you say is the biggest hurdle that you personally had to overcome when it comes to training? Like, what is something that you might have been, I guess, used to doing, or maybe not doing that you just had to work in to your regiment?
So, um, this is where I get a little bit vulnerable here. A lot of people don't know this about me, but it is very common to happen. I used to suffer with a bad eating disorder. Um, and then usually, if you have eating disorders, competing is really, it's a very touchy to try and do, just because we get ourselves so lean. Um, so with that, competing came easy, because I ate more food and I learned how to eat and stuff like that. My hardest thing with training is not getting ready for the show. The diet, the cardio, the exercising, that comes easy to me. That's the easiest part. The hardest part for me is after the shows. Because your girl can throw down. I can throw down some food for real. Um, and that's my biggest problem is because, and that's something I'm still currently working on. In actually of July of last year is when I finally came to terms with having a good relationship with food. That's a lot of hard things for people. Is like we eat when we're sad, we eat, emotional eaters, or we emotionally not eat. I'm one of the both. I either eat or I don't eat. Um, and so after the shows, when I finally get to eat whatever I want and enjoy life a little bit, we start gaining weight, which is okay because sitting at 5% body fat, especially for a woman, is not healthy. You can't stay there for a long, you can't maintain that for a long period of time without something, your hormones getting imbalanced and different things going on with us. I've seen it to where some women become infertile because they stay
Wow.
lean too long.
Mhm.
Um, and then our cycles go away. So, like I said, I throw down some food. After a show, I will binge eat for a day or two, and then I'll just slowly like go back onto the diet again. But watching your body at its leanest and then seeing fat get put back on it is very mentally,
Oh,
it's
yeah.
it's tough.
I can only imagine
Um
that. Yeah, yeah.
yeah, and you have to, that's why I say people ask me about competing and I'll tell them that exact thing. If you are not ready to see fat come back on your body after a show, I do not recommend it. It happens to everybody. I mean, you can maintain, so you're not going to like blow up and get like super big. Obviously. Like you can maintain a nice healthy lean state. And that's okay. Guys are usually better at it. I'm horrible. My body just gains back like this and it's just like, but I can drop it really quickly too. So I have a good balance. But that's something I still struggle with. Like I'm oh, I got, when I'm prepping for a show, cellulite goes away. I'm toner, I'm leaner. I see different things. And but then when I start gaining, it's like, oh, there's some cellulite. Oh, there's a little pooch. Oh, there's this, and it's like those are things that I gotta mentally be like, this is okay. It's okay to be this way. I
Yeah.
just have to learn that um when I eat, I can't be like, oh, I just ate a whole pizza. I need to go kill myself in the gym and do cardio. No, like if you don't want to kill yourself in the gym, eat better.
Right.
And that's where,
That's probably the thing that I struggle with, like for me personally, because in 2018, in fall 2018, I ruptured my Achilles, which is like one
oh,
of the worst things that you can do, and that's like a year recovery. And I was in the best shape of my life at that point. And so I couldn't even do I couldn't do any cardio outside of riding a bike, like a stationary bike. I couldn't do any of that for over a year until November of 2019, and that's when I decided, okay, I want to get back into the shape that I want to be in. So like I did really well from November of that year up until March of 2020, and then that's when the world caught on fire, and I started to slack, and I ended up gaining 20 pounds. I gained the COVID-19 in a way, because I was at 180, and then this summer I was at 200, and I wanted to. It's been really hard for me mentally to just have to deal with that. But one of the things, I'm glad you said this, because this is something that my trainer has also said to me now, is that the weight that I gained is not necessarily a bad thing. It's really not. There are ways that I still consider myself to be pretty healthy and in shape and all of that, and I can go for a run, 2-3 mile run, and like be okay. um but I had to learn that, as I got older, this is just like, this is how things happen with your body now, and like,
Mhm.
you can still be healthy and live a good life, weighing a little bit more than what you were when you were young.
Yeah.
you know
Oh yeah.
I don't think I'll ever be able to do like the competitions that you do, because like, good lord, those, I've seen those pictures. I've seen your pictures that you put up on like your Instagram and on TikTok. Sweet lord, sweet lord, how I just don't, I don't understand, because you have to like hit like certain poses and things too, like as you're, and like for these competitions, like, is everybody doing the same pose, or do you get to
Uh,
choose your poses?
for the most part. So I used to stick to figure and physique were my two main categories that I always compete in. Um, ever since I started competing, those were the two things that I do. And then, obviously after my first show, I went on a hardcore food binge. Like when I say hardcore food binge, when I told you this girl can throw down, yeah, take throw down times 20. I did not stop, like ever. It would just, and I just gained a lot. So with that happening, my legs obviously are my biggest part of my body. As I think majority of TikTok has seen too. Um, so, they have a new category. It's not new. It's always been overseas, but coming to the States a couple years ago is wellness. And wellness is the girls with a big lower body and like a smaller upper body. So it's almost disproportioned, but still proportionate. And that was something that I was like, what, I can do that because my legs. I don't know if you've ever seen professional figure girls. Their legs are like, or physique girls, their legs are shredded, like striations upon striations.
Yeah, yeah.
My legs don't get that way. No matter what I do, they don't. Not anymore anyway. So that's something that I've always struggled with. So when wellness came out, I was like, I want to do wellness. And everybody's like, no, figure is your thing. You need to do figure. Figure is you, figure is you. And I was like, all right, well, I'm good at figure. But everybody does the same poses for the most part. You still got the same things to do, same quarter turns, everything. With women's physique, which is where you get to do like a music routine, you can do whatever you want as long as you don't do any gymnastic stuff. That stuff is for like the pros. But you can do any pose you want. I mean, I toss some bodybuilder poses in there like I did. I would always have fun in my music routines when I did physique, that I would just be like, I'll make fun of like the men's physique while I do it, or like I do bodybuilder stuff, and everybody loved it. And I'm just like,
Yeah.
it's just who I am. But yeah, and we make it look so easy, the posing, but trust me, it's a workout in itself.
I can only imagine. Like, I feel like, because like I'm gonna do a really bad job at this, but like I feel like you have to like, like
Yeah,
uh,
yeah,
do
basically.
I got it? This is a
No,
workout in
you
and of
gotta
itself.
your front shoulder, you gotta lift it up, and then you gotta like keep your hands together. Yeah, and then turn your back shoulder towards me.
My back hurts. Okay, it's like this.
Yeah.
This one.
Nope. Yep. But you
Ooh,
gotta
this
keep your
is a
hips facing
workout.
that way.
This is.
Yeah.
I'm tired. I'm
And you gotta
tired.
flex, and you gotta like flex your chest and your shoulders at the same time because you're like pushing
Oh,
to do a side
why am I
chest.
sweating? Why?
Exactly.
Why am I sweating? This is. No, I'm tired already.
Yeah.
That was. You're not wrong. That was a workout in and of itself. I don't. Oh man.
Yeah.
Oh.
My posing coach in Texas. So I've trained with I'm a posing coach myself. And I pose every category from bodybuilding to classic to men's physique to all the women's categories. Like I've posed it all. Which is funny because like I always make fun of men's physique. Love the men's physique, nothing wrong with them. but I always do it because our poses are kind of close to figure a little bit. So I like go in there and I'm like, no, you got to do this, and then you got to turn like this, then you got to do this. Make sure you flex that and stuff. But one of my posing coaches in Texas, I posed with him one time. The first time I posed with him a few times, but the first time I posed with him, I woke up the next morning and I felt like I got hit by a train. I was in so much pain. But that's you got to condition your body for that. That's how we make it look so easy on stage. Like I've stood next to girls where they would shake, and I mean like shake. Their whole body would shake because their body is not conditioned. They didn't practice posing enough to where them holding because we hold those poses for a bit, and if your muscles aren't used to holding that pose for a while, you will shake and then you will sweat. And if you sweat, your tan starts running. And so, like, sometimes for the guys, you can see runs like on their chest because our tans are sprays. And so
Right,
you can
right.
just see the tan just like running or down the center of their back. And it's just,
If
I'm
if
like,
if
that's
you
why.
could give a piece of advice to anybody that is looking to get into this, that has maybe been interested and they don't they don't know what the next step is or what it entails. If you could give one piece of advice to those people that are interested in joining this industry, what would you say?
Do your research and do your research on finding a good coach. There are too many. I competed once, now I'm a pro type coaches. Do not. There are a ton of coaches out there that you'll talk to and try and shove all the steroids and everything onto you. Um, do not. I don't. I've met plenty of people who do that and it ruins them. Um, do your research on a coach, find a good coach, and make sure they know what they're talking about. I mean, a lot of people getting into it, we don't know. So it's hard, but you'll know if it's a good coach or not. Trust me. And the like my coach here in Colorado, if you saw him, you'd be like, "That's your coach," and I'm like, "Yeah, that is my coach. My coach is awesome. I mean, my one in Texas is too. But it's just like those things. You're like my both my coaches are pros back in the day. Um, so but they've been doing this so long that it's like that's the biggest thing. And when I was looking for a coach here in Colorado, I made sure I did my hardcore research. I met a few people. One guy told me he's like $150 for this week, and I'll help you lose all that water weight. And I looked at him and I was like, I bet you I can do it myself in 2 days. I was like, $150. So I did my research, and the only people that he's worked with are regular people trying to lose weight, not
Right.
competitors. And I'm like, no, bro, no,
He's just trying
no.
to make that quick money. That's all.
Yeah. I was like, you are gonna embarrass yourself one day. Like somebody's gonna call you out. It's not gonna be me, but
Yeah,
somebody's gonna call you out. But
that's
yeah,
crazy.
it's that's what I tell people. You can't just I've seen people do it themselves and they have been successful, but it is very hard. And that's what I say, like, find a good coach. My coach here in Colorado charges 150 a month for 12 months, which is cheap compared to what I've heard other people pay. Like other people, one of my friends pays like 1,200 every 2 months. And I'm like, oh no, honey.
$1,200
No.
every 2 months. Oh
So,
man.
but their coach is also really good too. So it kind of like it varies.
Yeah.
But that's the biggest number one thing is you need to do your research and find a good coach.
Right, right. Now, one of the things that I definitely want to talk about real quick is you are an army vet, and first and foremost, thank you so much for your service to this country. And with my nephew is in the army. He was based in Berlin, and he's still serving now. And so my dad was also in the military. So a lot of people in my family are vets, and so it has a very very close place in my heart. People that serve this country. So I just want to say thank you so much for your service.
Thank
Um,
you.
what what was your experience like in the military, and were there any lessons from the military that you carry with you throughout your life now?
Every single day. Um, my life in the military I had my moments. It was rough. being a female in the army, it was rough. I'm not gonna lie. I'm not gonna sugarcoat it. I don't sugarcoat nothing. It was rough. I had a tough time. But would I change it? Not at all. Do I want to go back in? I will do it. If they had a draft, I'd be the first one to sign up. Um, I do miss it, and I know probably people are gonna be like, "Well, why don't you rejoin?" Well, because I have a life now, and my boyfriend is about to retire in 2 years from the military, and if I rejoin, he's going to be moving around again, and I don't want to do that. And he's been doing it for 30 years, so um, but yeah, I loved it, absolutely loved it, and like I told you before we started, my biggest thing is I love to watch others succeed. And my soldiers, so when I got out as a sergeant, which translate to civilian is like a manager, um, or a general manager. So um, my soldiers, before I got out, I taught them how to go to school, what they needed to do, help them study for. I still get calls from my soldiers to this day, and I've been out for 3 years. They still call me, and they still call me sergeant. They're like, "Hey, Sarge, like this is," and I'm just like, "You don't have to call me that, but I appreciate it. It's a respect thing." Um, but they're like, "Hey, I made sergeant." And I'm like, "I'm so proud of you, that you deserved it. That's awesome." And then they'll call me again, "Hey, I made the list for staff sergeant." And I'm like, "I'm so proud of you." Um, so those are the things that make me happy. And like I said, being in the military, I come from a small town in Michigan originally, so I never really experienced meeting other people from around the world. And so when I joined, I was like, wow, like I met so many awesome people, and my best friends are veterans who I've served with, and you just it's a tight knit family that you'll never lose. You know, as far as things that I carry with me every day, discipline, dedication, integrity is a big one. I do still use military lingo every once in a while, so sometimes at work I'm like, how do I translate this to civilian? Because I'm not really sure. um,
When we were setting up a time to do a chat, I should have sent you everything in military time instead. That's what I should have done, right?
it doesn't show it now, but my phone is in military time. My
Yeah,
watch is
yeah,
in military time. So like
right.
those little things I still do. And then making my bed every single morning when I get up, that's the first thing that I do. I still roll my socks the way I roll them. um, so like those are like little things, but as
Yeah.
far as like mentally, I carry everything with me. And I've had somebody come up to me and like they actually commented on one of my like combat videos that I posted. I did a photo shoot. And they're like, that's against regulation. I said, well, according to AR 670-1, blah, 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 blah. And I was like, yeah, don't bring the regulations to this girl because
They
I know
tried. They tried.
they did. And I was like, I know, I know it.
It's like I got
Uh,
receipts. I know what I'm doing. I'm not new to this.
exactly. And it's funny because my boyfriend being in as long as he is, he knows a lot and he's been and seen a lot. So he knows all the regulations and stuff. But sometimes he'll ask me, he's like, hey, I know the answer to this. Can you double check it for me? And I'm like, yep. And then I'll tell him and he's like, that's what I thought. And I was like, yeah, so they keep it.
Are you ever like watching like a TV show or a movie and you see like some military stuff go down and you're just in there being like, oh my God, that's not how it works.
Yes. We can't watch military movies in this house. It's worse.
I can only imagine what that's like. Just being like, no, what are you doing? Stop, please stop.
Yeah. And then the thing too is like, a lot of people I assume probably know this, but a fun fact. So when they do movies like military stuff, the uniform's always different. It's slightly different. Like the name tapes could be switched or the patches could be switched. The flag will never be switched. The flag will always be on the right shoulder because it has to be always going forward. Because we don't retreat. So we watched, and that's my biggest thing. I was a uniform junkie. Like I made sure everything was squared away to the measurement, to the quarter inch. I'm like, nope. I had a ruler all the time with me. And I was like, when I would check my soldiers or cook whites, I would measure their ranks on our collars, and I'd be like, nope, it's too low. Nope, it's too high. Like I was a stickler on it. And my soldiers hated me for it, but I always made sure people were squared away.
Right,
So when
right.
we watch military movies and I see the uniforms, I'm like, I know they have to do this for Hollywood, but that's
Well, Hollywood, if you're watching this, you have a consultant right here. Have a consultant right here. She will help you. She will.
I right. They need it.
Oh my
Advise
god.
me.
It warms my heart so much that we finally got to like sit and chat. Finally.
Me too. I know. But I asked you about it and you told me. I was like, we need to do this.
I know, I know. I'm like, this is like, like it needs to happen. And I like Colorado, so I'm gonna come out and visit Colorado again. And when I do, we gotta hang out and we're gonna eat pepperoni pizza.
Let's do it. I'll
Yeah.
have my half with pineapple.
Well, no, we're gonna get separate boxes. We're gonna get because I
Okay,
don't
fair
want
enough.
I don't even want the scent of pineapple anywhere near my pizza. No,
That's fine
damn it.
because I don't want half. I want my whole. I own whole
That's
pizza.
true.
I will eat an
but,
entire
but
pizza.
but no, you know what? Like, I'll three-quarters of the pizza, and then I'll have one slice, just like your tattoo. How's that?
Fair enough. We
There
can
we
do
go.
that.
I know. I appreciate you, and I love that we finally got to sit and chat. And please continue to be the amazing, sweet, kind, dedicated, wonderful person that you are. And thank you for supporting me and for being my friend. It's crazy how like TikTok has brought me like so many friends that I've never met in real life. For all I know, you might be an artificial intelligent robot. I have no
I
idea.
am.
I'm gonna assume that you are a human being. I'm gonna assume, but I might be wrong.
No, I'm a robot. I'm a
I
robot.
knew it. I knew it. I knew it.
Totally like
I love it.
government made everything. I
I
came
knew
from
it.
Area 51.
I
Like I'm
knew
an
it.
alien,
I
y'all.
knew it. I should have went with my gut. Ah, the CGI is getting so good nowadays.
See? I know.
um, Olivia, thank you so much for chatting with me today. If friends, if you enjoyed my conversation with this wonderful woman, please be sure to go follow her on TikTok at Beast Mode Barbie, and you can follow her on Instagram at Beast_Mode_Barbie08. You will not regret it. I promise you. She is a great, great person, and she's my friend. So if she's my friend, that means that she's cool because I don't hang out with
Right?
uncool people. That's how it
Yeah.
works.
We only get only positive vibe
That's
people
it.
hang out
That's
with
it.
the positive vibe people.
Absolutely,
Like
absolutely. Because moods are contagious. Good vibes are contagious. Happiness
are.
is contagious. 100%. To everyone else, be sure to follow me on your favorite social media platforms at The Vibe with Kai, or visit my official website at thevibewithkai.com, where I'm always posting things that'll help you do good, feel good, be good, and live a good life full of good vibes. Thank you so much for listening. Thank you to my guest today, Olivia McBride. You are amazing. As always, my friends, God bless and good vibes. Bye. We did it.
We did it.